Hi everybody, I'm Clinton from Practical Matter Films, and today I'm going to show you how to frame your narrator in your documentary. I'll be using a few clips from our first documentary, Different Roads to Heaven, and a clip from our short film, Counseling History, as examples. There will be links in the description for the trailer of Different Roads to Heaven and the bloopers for Counseling History. For those of you interested in the technical aspects of the films, they were shot on a Sony CX900 and a GoPro Hero 5 Session, and they were edited on Final Cut Pro 10. This video assumes you have a basic understanding of the rule of thirds and you know how to find the grid on your camera. We may do a video in the future on the rule of thirds. With that said, let's begin. This is Nick. He's part of the team at Practical Matter Films, and this still image of him is from our short film, Counseling History. Now wait, you might be asking, why am I showing you a frame from a comedy when this video is about documentary narrators? Well, let's pull up the grid. Notice how Nick is center of frame, and the shot is somewhere between a close-up and a medium, but it's still at eye level. A traditional narrator that is in the film should be center of frame at a medium shot, eye level. The reason for this is when they are talking in the film, they are directly addressing the audience. When interviewing a subject, you'll have them either have the subject move on the left or the right side of the frame. To give a comparison, it would be like in a book when you're reading narrative prose versus dialogue. You'll notice this more in news stories when a reporter is directly addressing the audience versus when they are addressing someone being interviewed. Now, let's hop over to some frames from our first documentary, Different Roads to Heaven, and observe how I break these classic rules. This is Jacob. Jacob was the narrator for our first documentary, Different Roads to Heaven. Alright, let's pull up the grid. That's better. How would you describe this shot? I'll give you a sec. Pencils down, time is up. If you said high angle medium shot, you would be correct. But notice that Jacob is on the left side of the frame instead of the center. The only classic rule which is followed in this frame is that he's at a medium shot. Why would I change this? Well, first off, in the clip, he's not directly speaking to the camera. We have music playing over the clip, and then when the film transitions to the next shot, he begins to narrate over the footage. I should mention that this is in the beginning of the film as well. Since he's not narrating in the footage like a news reporter would, this gave us some wiggle room to play around with composing this shot. Another reason why the narrator is center of frame, typically, is because they know all the information ahead of time and they're just relaying what they know. However, we wanted to convey that he didn't know everything ahead of time and still had much to learn, or we had to work towards the center. That explains the positioning of Jacob in the frame, but what about the high angle? The angle should be eye level traditionally, but we decided to go with a high angle. Why did we do this? To answer this question, here's a brief explanation of angles and what they convey. There are three basic angles in filmmaking. The first is a low angle when the camera is looking up at the subject. The second is an eye level when the camera is looking, well, eye level at the subject, and the third is a high angle when the camera is looking down at a subject. Low angles traditionally convey power and a sense that the subject knows what they're doing. Eye level angles convey a more neutral stance in a shot. The subject may know some or all of the information. The high angle typically conveys that the subject is more or less in the dark about information. Most angles in film should be eye level, and the use of high or low angles should be reserved when you're trying to make a point. In writing, this would be like making your text bold or in italics because you want to stress something. Alright, let's get back to Jacob. So looking at the shot of our narrator again, we know he doesn't know everything going into the film, and it's conveyed he will be learning along with the audience. Now let's look at another shot from him at the end of the film. I'm pretty happy with this shot if I do say so myself, and I'm going to leave this shot up for a few seconds without the grid. Compare it with the previous shot and think about what is different. Now that you've had a few seconds, let's put up the grid. Just a reminder, the traditional narrator shot would be an eye-level medium shot center frame. What this shot is eye level close-up right of frame. The eye level of this shot contrasts to the high angle at the beginning of the film, shows growth and a better understanding than he had at the beginning. However, he's still not center frame because it is acknowledged that there is still much more to learn and he still doesn't have all the information. And the reason for the close-up is to convey a sense that this was somewhat personal. Let's wrap this up with a little review. If you plan to have a traditional narrator for your documentary, you should frame your narrator in an eye-level, medium shot center frame. The narrator should also be talking directly to the camera. If the narrator is not talking directly to the camera, which in turn would be the audience, then you would have a little more room to play around with the shot. That brings us to the end of this video, and I hope you found this helpful. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe for future content.